My name is David Daniel Ball, and these are the headlines for Friday, the 13th of February, 2009. The first sea kitten attack on Bondi Beach in 80 years. Vic fireys make progress in cool weather. Firebugs strike during bushfire telethon. Lesbian mums win claim against doctor. Sorry, not enough. Calls for more action 1 year on. 2 men arrested over Victorian bushfires cleared of arson. ATM exploded at Villawood. CFA volunteer dies in suspicious house fire. Koala Sam, our new global star. Government to rush stimulus package back through Parliament. And in comments from Tim Blair, paleontologist, heal thyself. Following massive deaths in Victoria, Tim Flannery wants Australians to endure some root cause self-loathing. Let's hope that Australians ponder the deeper causes of this horrible tragedy and change our polluting ways before it's too late. Flannery, who previously flew to the US to deliver $50,000 speeches, knows all about our polluting ways from the same Guardian piece in which he condemns Australian pollution. The day after the Great Fire burned through central Victoria, I drove from Sydney to Melbourne. For the past 12 years, a new, drier climate has established itself. I could measure its progress whenever I flew into Melbourne Airport. Which ways would Flannery like us to change? Disproportionate response. We have a cartoon apparently published in 1956. It's still relevant. Jose M. Guardia observes with disgust a poll commissioned by the ADL shows that 33% of Europeans blame the Jews for financial meltdown. A mind-boggling 74% of Spaniards think so. Another 2/3 of Spaniards think that Jews are more loyal to Israel than to their home countries. Shook 'em all night long. The sex-crazed U.S. agents of Islamic fable are back. A suspect in the Mumbai massacre has claimed a woman FBI agent tortured him with sex during an interrogation. Fahim Ansari, accused of helping the jihadi gang who killed 173 in November, says the Americans performed a sex act on him against his will. He claims this amounted to torture because he is a devout Muslim. Ansari alleges the woman stripped him naked, abused him all night, leaving wounds and bite marks, and showed him hardcore porn films. In Sydney, this is known as Saturday Night. Trees live, people die. From Tim Blair, Warwick Spooner, whose mother and brother were killed in Victoria's fire, speaks truth to Nillumbik Council. We've lost 2 people in my family because you dickheads won't cut trees down, he said. An update. Nillumbik tree fans previously promoted their area as the lungs of Melbourne. Update 2. Prior warning. The Shire Council, covering some of the areas hit hardest by the bushfires, was warned 5 years ago that its policy of encouraging people to grow trees near their homes to give the appearance of a forest would lead to disaster. One of Australia's leading bushfire experts, Rod Incole, warned Nillumbik Shire Council in a 2003 report that it risked devastation if it went ahead with changes to planning laws proposed by green groups that restricted the removal of vegetation. Charge has been changed. Police attend a South Carolina burglary in progress, only to meet another Obama believer. They walked into a bedroom and found a man lying on the floor, drunk off his ass with some weed in the room. The man struggled to his feet and an officer handcuffed him until he proved via some mail addressed to him that the apartment was his. But the pot tested positive, so he was taken outside to a squad car, whereupon he started cursing and wouldn't get into the car. He wailed that President Obama would free him, but the cops weren't intimidated and he was charged with drunkenness, resisting arrest, and disorderly conduct. The cops searched the apartment and found all the trappings of pot dealing, including digital scales, pipes, and about $1,000 in cash. So the man was further charged with possession with intent to distribute and possession in close proximity to a school. The Fires by Andrew Bolt. Healesville now is being threatened again. An urgent threat message has been issued by the CFA. Given the size of the catastrophe, this now seems mad. Canberra and the states balked at the $20 million cost of a telephone-based alert system that would have given an early warning of the deadly Black Saturday bushfires, the secret report shows. Those warnings we failed to heed. John Brumby says he will call the Royal Commission into the fires that have so mauled us. We want to put in place whatever arrangements are necessary to ensure nothing like this ever happens again. Good, Premier, but the question is, will your government this time listen? Name 10 Mr. Rudd. The Australian describes how Kevin Rudd researched a speech last year in which he said sorry to the stolen generations. Mr. Rudd used an excerpt from a paper by academic Robert Mann that was provided by Victorian Labour MP Mark Dreyfus and was given a departmental response to comments by right-wing columnist Andrew Bolt and historian Keith Winshuttle in relation to the stolen generations. That response would be worth gold to me. I'm getting that the department's response fails to come up with the 10 examples of children truly stolen just because they were Aboriginal and not because they needed help. If I'm wrong, Rudd should release that response just to discredit me and my doubts. Windy Fix Der Spiegel reports on another eco scam. Germany's renewable energy companies are a tremendous success story. Roughly 15% of the country's electricity comes from solar, wind, or biomass facilities. Almost 250,000 jobs have been created, and the net worth of the business is 35 billion euros per year. But there's a catch. The climate hasn't, in fact, profited from these developments. As astonishing as it may sound, the new wind turbines and solar cells haven't prohibited the emission of a single gram of carbon dioxide. Even more surprising, the European Union's own climate change policies, touted as the most progressive in the world, are to blame. The EU-wide emissions trading system determines the total amount of CO2 that can be emitted by power companies and industries, and this amount doesn't change, no matter how many wind turbines are erected. On the contrary, Germany was able to sell unused certificates across Europe to coal companies in countries like Poland or Slovakia, for example. Thanks to Germany's wind turbines, these companies were then able to emit more greenhouse gases than originally planned. Given the often lower efficiency of Eastern European power plants, this is anything but environmentally beneficial. There's another catch, of course. How much in subsidies and taxes are needed to keep the windmills turning? Too few arsonists to blame. There's an awful lot of talk about mass murders, who should rot in jail for setting fires on Saturday, but I think we need to focus back on what the authorities did or failed to do to make these fires so lethal. Not warm enough. Reader R is wondering why global warming didn't clear the way for her Antarctic cruise. Can you please suggest a website where I could find statistics about the sea ice buildup in the Ross Sea in recent years? Red search under the beds for Jews. Ian Baruma on yet another threat to Jews, and not just them. A Chinese bestseller titled The Currency War describes how Jews are planning to rule the world by manipulating the international financial system. The book is reportedly read in the highest government circles. If so, this does not bode well for the international financial system, which relies on well-informed Chinese to help it recover from the present crisis. It's like the left's attitude to Bush. They're not anti-American, of course, just against any American leader who in fact defends its essential values. Before Russia joined the Allies in World War II, it was the same with that sort. Chamberlain was much more liked than Churchill. Your loss is the planet's gain. The sight of so many people losing their jobs can still bring a smile to the face of planet saver like Ross Garnaut. The international economic downturn may result in a short-term benefit with a decrease in production, leading to slowing in the growth of the greenhouse pollution one of the federal government's top advisors forecast. At least he makes the link explicit. The most effective global warming policies will make you poorer.